Gonna read something so people will know who you are from InVision blog. Talia is a conversion optimization specialist who generates more revenues, leads, and sales for her clients using emotional targeting and persuasion. Has taught on stages like Google, MozCon, and was recently listed as one of the most influential experts in the world for conversion optimization. Follow her on Twitter. Get it right?
You read it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, so we met a few months ago on Fix My Funnel course, which I took, which was wonderful. And then I decided I gotta have more of that. So I called you, and yeah, we're working together, and we have our funnel released just recently, still in construction. And during that time, we got Corona. Not literally, but yeah, went into our calculations. So, and things really rapidly changed. They still do. And we are looking at really difficult and challenging times. And during our work together, we did a U-turn, not a U-turn, but just shifted our messaging and changed a lot of our construct to adapt, and we still are. So I thought it'll be a good and useful conversation if we can talk about that, about how we adopt and how do we change stuff as things go wild.
Yeah, I think it's a very important conversation to be had, because I think we always preach every day that you should adapt, you should be agile, you should move fast, especially you guys, you do design sprints. So it's all about making decisions fast and acting on them rather than, taking 6 months to make a decision. And now we are experiencing something that probably happens hopefully once in a lifetime, where there's a complete shift, everything's changing, and you have to make a change. It's no longer about, should I, or, I'm thinking about it. Changes need to be made if you want to survive as a business. Right. So as you mentioned, us working together, we started at point A, we did all this research, we started executing, and then we were like, oh, we have to change something completely. So yeah, I think it's an important conversation to be had.
Yeah, so what we always tell our clients, like with Design Sprint, is that Design Sprint is actually a research procedure. So we spend a week on constructing an idea, prototyping, and then test it. And so I find so much similarities when we go into the online marketing business on the fact that it's more important to get started than being right, and that we want to get to the market. So I thought, but when we started working together, there was so much research about it. Can you just tell about some of the stuff we did together? So
right, for sure. So as you mentioned, you joined us on Fix My Funnel Bootcamp, which is one of our courses. And you did part of the work, like you started doing some of the things that we teach in there, and then we kind of leveled up and we did a project together. And as a client, one of the first things that we do with any client of ours is really in-depth research. And that means running surveys and interviews. And that means running, heat maps, looking into Google Analytics. It means doing review mining and really searching the entire web to learn about what people are feeling and saying and thinking about a certain topic or a subject, devouring podcasts, books, going into your competitors and kind of doing competitor research. So there's so much quantitative and qualitative research that's done over the period of 20 to 30 days normally, where we're just really getting to know the business as a whole, understanding your customers and understanding your prospects on a more emotional level. And then the outcome of all this research is creating these funnels. So we wrote an email sequence, right? We did a landing page. Yeah, we did 2 landing pages, 1 landing page and 1 sales page, I guess.
Right.
So one is more of a lead page to get people's leads, and the other one is more of a sales page itself, where we're really kind of selling design sprints and explaining the amazing value that design sprints have. And everything that we put together kind of works holistically together, right? It's about getting people to subscribe to, or I guess sign up to your webinar to learn more about how to make decisions fast, and then watch the webinar, then get this email sequence that we put together, and then send people to a sales page where they learn more about design sprints and get them to contact you in order to do a design sprint. So it's a funnel, like it's a very kind of complicated funnel, but as you mentioned, when we started out, we were in point A, we were thinking about it in one way, and within, I want to say 2 weeks, the whole world just shifted and changed, right?
Yeah. And for us, it was like, so a lot of our strategy is around our beautiful offices, people coming in-person meetings. We love that. We love and we also had a lot of that in our marketing, in our messaging. Like, it's fun to work with us. It's always like happy and creative, and we still want that, but we can't rely on like this in person, and everything has changed. I'd like to ask you, so how much do you think of the research was still relevant after, like, we were seeing like, oh, the market is going to change and everybody's going to be searching for remote. So how much of what we've done, like the review mining, by the way, that was a mind-blowing revelation for me. So little people know about it, you know?
Yes.
So many people, like, I just want to stop and just tell about it, because it's, I've been telling my clients about it, like, you got to do this. Just, so Talia taught me, she said, like, you go in the course, you go to your competitors' reviews and you see like what they write, the good thing and the bad stuff. And the good things are like, they write is, okay, that's the value proposition. This is what they're looking for. And the bad things are like their pains. It didn't work like they expected. So maybe I can, like, it's an opportunity. And there's so much to learn in review mining. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it is. I love doing it. My team loves doing it. It's amazing. It's a great way to do research especially when you're just getting started and there's not a lot of traffic on your website and you don't have many customers or users that you can survey. It's a great way, especially when we're B2B companies, a great way to just get a sense of what people are thinking and what they really feel about your industry and about your product, and then use everything that you find out to write high converting copy, to create better designs and everything.
You actually can use the wording, and that was wonderful. I think, like, so for us taking all that into the product world and thinking, well, how can we in our product communicate like the value of what users are actually out for in our product? So it goes so deep. And actually now we started running the funnel, and we're getting all these reviews. And I'm reading and I'm thinking, well, what do we take these, like, we actually get tremendous reviews for the
I know, I saw the reviews. I was so excited.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then I think, how can I communicate that back? Or should I probably should communicate back into our landing page, say, look, all these people, this is like, so. And so how, back to our conversation about, so what do you think about, like, so we spend so much research, and I assume like we're like a small thing, but those huge companies you work with, you probably spend much more time on research.
Yeah, so here's the thing about research. What we're doing when we do our research in our company, it's not research that is, how am I gonna, the best way to define this, this research is research that will define everything that we do for a very long time. It's not time-based. So what we learned is, for example, doing the research for you was, who are these people? What pains do they have day to day? What are the things that are really triggering them? What are the things that are keeping them up at night? And we also learned what their desired outcomes are. Now, these desired outcomes and these pains, they don't change. The only thing that changed when all this thing happened, when COVID-19 came in and everyone went into lockdown. Now, it's important to mention all of your business is in-house, right? As you mentioned, like everyone comes in to your office to do design sprints. So the entire shift that we had to make was, hey, we could do all of this, but remote, which is an incredible thing to be able to say because not many companies can. Right. And for us, it wasn't about going and saying, oh no, the research isn't relevant anymore. The research was more relevant than ever because we know who these people are now. We understand the ins and the outs. We understand their pains. So the only thing that needs to be changed is the way we communicate it and the words that we're using. We have to be more empathetic. We have to explain how we are addressing this situation. We have to talk about the different ways that we can solve people's problems and still solve the pains that they mentioned, help them reach their desired outcomes, but in a different way. So it's not that the research wasn't relevant, it's just that the application and the output and everything that we were creating had to address that specific situation. So research is always going to be relevant, it's just the application of it and how you use it afterwards.
Yeah, it's also, I think, it's also a starting point. So, and a lot of a lot of my thoughts around the marketing aspects of our business is, well, it's like a product. It's a product for anything. Like you got to start somewhere and then you shift as you go, you understand more. So one of the things about marketing that helps you also in the product world, but in selling as a general is that once you have like this baseline of, okay, I've done all this research. I've spoken to my customers somewhere here on the back of my mind. I met these people. Okay. I saw what they're writing. I saw they didn't change. The situation changed, but as people, we're still talking to product managers, to innovation managers, to startup CEOs. So we're still targeting the same people that can use our services, maybe even expanded because more people are looking for, quickly solving market problems or like challenges. And now we can continue our research, but in our funnel.
Right.
So,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same people. It's the same people. And because you did that research, you now know a lot about them. So you also know what words you should be using in order to coach them and help them and show them that you can still provide that value for them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about, so now we have all this beautiful landing page and words, like we copy paste them all over. We use them in our messaging. We use it. So it's a lot of stuff that we reuse in our texting. And now, well, we started like advertising and putting people in our funnel. And now I'm under a lot of pressure in changing stuff. So things, I just read it's one of your research emails about how people think, no, I read it in the article when I researched this conversation. I went into your blog, into the InVision blog you wrote. And you write there that many people are like putting a lot of research, putting those web pages and it doesn't work. And they're like, okay, it doesn't work and all that work. And you should expect it not to work.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best outcome, by the way. Like I feel, I know it's a terrible, like my specialty is conversion optimization. So I do tons of A/B tests. And when I go into it, I'm like, I don't want it to fail, but I do want it to fail. Like you want to learn. There's every single thing that you put out there. It's not enough. Like everything that we just did, it's an hypothesis. Yeah. It's research. Like the A/B test is also research. That Facebook campaign that you're running is research. You want to run it, you want to ship it, you want to get the results and optimize and keep optimizing. Just like there's no miracle, pill that you can take and then everything's going to convert and it's going to be amazing. Like you have to run this for a while, get the numbers, get the results, and then optimize and you're going to have to optimize all the time. So yeah, I mean, I guess people get really disappointed. And I've had this with clients in the past too, like, but we ran everything that you said and we did all the testing and nothing worked. And like, but what were the results? What did you learn? What worked? What didn't? What have you seen in heat maps? What are people doing in recording sessions? there's kind of, but this is the marketers, and I don't know if this is the same for product managers and innovation, but the how can I speed this along? How can I get to the result already? Like, how can I get to there's no magic path. There's no, you have to continuously optimize. You have to constantly do more and more and more.
Yeah. So that's, it's on one hand, it's quite discouraging because you want things to work. But also it's about, that's something I'm learning as we move is how important it is to measure things. Like product people are always like, let's measure everything we want to measure, and let's be database. So it's not that strange, but constructing those funnels, it's really difficult. So you put up a campaign and okay, so what did not work? And initially, like I was looking at the Facebook ads and okay, so conversion was okay, but nobody registered. So where's the problem, you know? And then I figured out that I actually don't know if where. So, okay, back to that, we need to run another campaign. And one of the things I've learned from you, and I'd like to share with people listening to this is the need to rapidly change is also a very strong pressure on creativity, on how do you come up with all these, like, okay, so let's try a different thing, but we already optimized this. It's like also, so, you know, this should be the best message. So how do you like iterate on that?
Well, I mean, the easy answer is, you know, we just look at the data all the time that's coming in and we come up with new hypotheses. We always go back to the original research and say, here's what we knew, here's what we thought, how has that changed? What have we definitively, you know, said this doesn't work and what does? And let's think of new ideas. And also, sometimes we don't, like sometimes it requires a bunch of tests that aren't going to work until you figure it out. The whole idea of research is just that you keep going back to it and kind of reiterating it and checking it again and maybe diving into it more. But as you said, most of it is really just diving into it. It's just saying, okay, this didn't work. Let's figure out what was the question that we asked. And that's, I think, probably the most important thing when you run any sort of campaign, whether if it's a Facebook ad or a landing page where you're sending an email and you want to figure out why isn't it working? What you want to ask yourself is, what was the goal? Not in terms of like, I was trying to get conversions, but what question were you asking? Like, what are you trying to learn here? What have you learned? And how can you bridge that gap? And I think when you go into things asking questions and not expecting results, you get a better result because you're not expecting to get hundreds of thousands of conversions. You're just trying to answer a question. For example, questions can be, you know, what's the biggest pain my customer feels? Or how do they feel before they find a solution? Or what do they want to feel after finding a solution? Or a question could even be a technical one. Why don't people move from page A to page B? And if you focus on one question, it's easier to answer it. That was a very long answer for a very easy question, sorry.
Yeah, no, but it's that, okay, so there's like, I get it. So first of all, you need to say, well, we're running this campaign, not what are our initial, so we have our goals, okay? We have our business goal. That's like, that was already set. But in this campaign, we want to know that, yeah, I'm like looking at the funnel. So now I have like the funnel, holy grail of being able to do something. And now I'm saying, okay, so I have this and I have the landing page and I have the ad. And initially I was like, okay, a nice conversion, but then it stopped at the landing page and that it's stuck there. So is it because, and we have like a drift of registrants. So is it because the landing page is wrong, or is it because the ads bring the wrong people? Okay.
Right.
So once we understood this is our question. We don't know that. We don't know that. And so, so for me, I was like, so what's easier for me to find out? Is it like, so let's try the ads first, because landing page, like it takes a construct and
it's testing and iteration. I mean, at the end of the day, the job of the funnel, a funnel has just one job, and that's to move people to the next step, right? Each step in the funnel. So if you're getting Facebook ads and you're getting tons of clicks and people are going to the landing page or people are not converting on the landing page, that the number one thing that would mean to me is that there's a mismatch between the message and what you're, and the message on both kind of parts of the funnel. Either the wrong people are clicking on your ads, or the people that are coming to your landing page are expecting one thing, and then they get to the landing page and like, this is not what I was expecting, and they leave. Because this is, again, we're talking about a landing page that isn't asking for money or anything. We're not selling anything. We're giving away a free webinar that's going to help people make better decisions. So the mismatches between what the people who are clicking and the people who are arriving. So is it a people problem or is it a messaging problem? And when you have those two questions, it's easier to test and iterate. And you say, okay, right now I'm just going to check that I'm sending the right people. Let's start with that, because it's easier to make changes to tests. Okay, great. The ads changed, interesting, still getting great conversions. Let's look at the landing page. Is there a mismatch? What isn't working well? What isn't connecting? And you kind of go by asking questions.
And then there for me, there's a missing link. So, okay, so I get it. Like we always preach that it's more important to reframe your question. Okay, we have that in the sprint, like framing the question is like one of the most important things you do. Like half a day we just spend on making everybody agree this is the question. Okay, this is the challenge. And that's essential to what we do. So I get it. But then there's like the second half of the first day in the design sprint is creating mass solutions. And this is where I get stuck a lot. So, okay, so we need a lot of creatives. So I was showing Sophia, wonderful Sophia, I was showing her like our ads. She was like, no, not so much. Yeah. And she like, and then she came up with like 10 ideas. I was like, oh.
I also have to remind you, and you know this because you do this with design sprints. And one of the things that I love about the design sprint and everything that I've learned from it is that you don't have to have one person that's the creative that comes up with all the solutions. Because when you're in a group, everyone can be creative when they've got the right outlook, when they're answering the same question, when everyone's together. Like there's different ways that you can get anyone to be innovative. And also, like when Sophia and I looked at those ads, we hadn't been in the data as much as you. We haven't been in it, you know. It's sometimes an outside perspective, someone who comes from the outside and isn't involved in all the emotions and all the things that are going through that you did when you were setting all this stuff up. It's so much easier for us to go back and look at our frameworks, look at our experience and the templates that we use and say, okay, what is missing? What can be done here to better communicate this? And of course, we did the research, and it's easier for us to apply the research into ads, landing pages, you know, emails and stuff, because we live and breathe it by now.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to take you on this template thing because for me, when I did fix my funnel, so it was always a creative block on writing. It's difficult for me to write, easy to talk, but difficult to write. And
you guys created a awesome landing page. Like I loved at the end of the boot camp, you presented one of probably the best written landing pages. And you started by saying, I can't write copy.
Yeah, well, and then I was like, oh, take your research and just shove it into our template. And I was like, okay, I can do that. Right. Can you share with us like just the idea of a template? Because people think like, oh, these guys, they're so creative. They wake up in the morning and they have like 1,000 new ideas, you know? And I know it's not like that. And
so let me show you something. Okay, I've been staring. So you and I had this scheduled call and I had about 3 hours to work beforehand. And I'm working on relaunching our program. So Fix My Funnel is going to relaunch in June. And I'm like, okay, great, let's start writing. this is what I have so far. 3 hours of work. Okay.
The great Talia Wolf.
Yeah, but so, and that it's part of it, right? This is what templates and frameworks exist for, because it doesn't matter who you look up to. And usually when you're feeling the worst, that's when you get hit and you get an email in your inbox. You're like, oh, this person always sends the best emails ever.
Right.
I can sit in front of a computer for hours and end up, like, I think I told you this, like I can end up rearranging my tabs instead of like writing, right? Because sometimes nothing comes, nothing comes into you. And then you have to have a process in order to get over it. Otherwise, nothing will ever get done.
Do you have this like COVID-19 stats tab? That's like the time waster of all times.
Yes, for me, that and KXCD, the comics, I can just like spend hours looking at this comic. That's terrible. It really is bad. And I know this, like I can notice this. And now that my husband and my kids are at home because of COVID-19, my husband will call me out. Like if I go and start work, like tidying up or doing like putting things in the dishwasher, he's like, go back and work. Go back and work. Stop procrastinating.
You gotta feed the kids.
Right? Exactly. No, but sometimes it's just you're not, things don't come to the brain. And I really want to break that think that, words don't just pop into people's heads. It's not how it works. The best copywriters that you know in the world, and I am by no means a copywriter. I am a conversion specialist, but I need to write copy. I mean, all of us need to write copy. We all write our own copy for the ads, for landing pages, for our website, whatever it is. So you need to know how to.
I just have, like copy matters, and it's like for product people, it's like, it's so important. It's so important wherever you go, and the wording actually really, really matters. It really matters. People say, people don't read. People do read.
Oh, people read. If you give them a reason, they will read. And also, like, the copy is your salesperson. This isn't me. Joanna Wiebe, the OG of conversion copywriting, she said this. Your copy is your salesperson. Think of your copy as that person who used to go in the 1950s and knock on the doors and sell your product. That's your copy. That's the job of your copy. And if you have lame copy, you are doing a shitty job at selling. And as a person who does, both design, copy, and everything, when I look at a test, the first thing I look at is messaging, because you can have a shitty design, but if the messaging is on point and it reaches into people's hearts and addresses their emotional triggers, it doesn't matter how crappy your design is, people will convert. Yeah. Of course, you can, work on UX and you can work on design and this field and that field, but at the end of the day, messaging is key for conversions. And there's nothing I can do about it. Sometimes words don't come. And if you sit there going like, it's going to come, like nothing's going to happen. So templates are my savior. Okay. They are the best thing since sliced bread, like my grandma used to say. It's the whole idea is, so this is how I go about templates. Okay. So I review hundreds and thousands of emails, and I have a list, like a long list of all the people that I love to follow. And they're not necessarily in marketing. Like these could be people that send recipes. This could be people that are gardeners. I don't know, but people that I love their emails, and I save them all. And when I find an email that works really, really well, and it kind of resonates with me, I look at it and I go, okay, this is cool. This is interesting. Then I've also got the emails that I'm sending out. And sometimes the emails that we send out just hit a home run, like sales and leads and everything. And I look at it and I break all these emails down. And I look at them and okay, how are these built? What do they include? How is this whole story working? And I templatize it so that when I get to days like this, I can.
That's an example. Can you show us something?
Yeah, sure. Well, I have templates for emails and I have templates for landing pages. And this is so I'm going to share my screen for a second. Let me share my screen.
The green button.
Really? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that wonderful piece of information.
Yeah.
So I think you should be able to see my screen.
Yeah, I do.
Cool. So this is a presentation that I put together a while ago for one of our webinars. And we have tons and tons of formulas, right? For like, and let me make this even easier. So how do we do this?
I'd like to read, like last week I got a PM in Slack from my students, Julie. Julie runs a wonderful business helping senior dogs. It hit me. It's like, I have to read this. Like senior dogs really in the marketing, like in the,
right. Right. So,
where's the template?
Okay, so essentially this is, now I understand that you're seeing the wrong screen. Which screen are you seeing?
I see. Yeah. It's.
Yes. So, no, but it's fine. It's fine. I was going to talk about this email anyway. So we can definitely talk about this one first. So yeah, this email was essentially an email that I sent out about COVID-19 because one of my students tried to sell something and past students actually. And when she sent out the sales email, she got terrible feedback and a few people were really mean to her and were upset that she had the audacity of trying to sell during the situation. And she was going to quit. And I had this whole thing. So where I explained to her that she has to sell. So she gave her a few tips, she reiterated, and she got a ton of sales. And I told this story because number one, stories are what people relate to. It's not statistics, it's not numbers, reports, it's all about the stories that you tell. And I was trying to get people to show up to this webinar that we were running about how to sell during these crazy times. So I wanted to tell a story.
Can you zoom a bit in so people can see that? Because maybe in the...
I can try. Yeah. Do you want me to read this out? It says, last week I got a PM in Slack from one of my students, Julie. Julie runs a wonderful business helping senior dogs. As a vet and dog owner herself, she knows how hard it is to cater to their senior needs. And over the years, she's created countless video content and products to help people help their loved ones. When this crisis hit and the world quickly went into quarantine, Julie realized that many senior dogs won't be able to get the care they need. So she sent out an email to her customers offering her entire library of videos, guides, resources, and everything that she's worked on in the past decade at 60% off. So it goes on, but it essentially tells the story of how she got 3 really harsh responses, people who were really angry at her selling and the audacity that she had to even reach out. And she said she was going to cancel and she wasn't going to sell anymore. And obviously I told her, okay, so here's what you're going to send in the next email. Here's what we're going to optimize. Here's what's missing. And that was it. And it really did get her sales. I even put in a screenshot here of her reply because she wrote, wow, thanks. I was ready to quit the campaign entirely. So she got the feedback and then she went and she wrote these emails and she got a ton of sales, which was really awesome because it's all about framing, right? You asked this question before about, hey, is the research still relevant if things change? And it is, because the people are still the people. And in this situation, what she had to do is just adapt the way she was speaking. She had to change her messaging. So this for me was a simple kind of approach with every email that I write, which is tell a story. And I like to open almost every email of mine with a story. I hardly start it with a, hey, first name. Here's what we've been doing this week, and here's a link to all our best articles, or, it's more about value. And that is really my go-to. It's about how can I produce the best value to people. And in order to capture people's attention, you need to tell a story because their inbox is crowded with like hundreds of emails. So how do you stand out in an inbox? By sending out, emails with the right subject line and with the people that say, here is something that really harsh that happened and maybe you can relate. So always telling a story is my go to. So that's about that. And what I actually wanted to share was my slides. Hold on, let me do a new share with desktop numbers.
I'd love to point out, look, like just the first line is like by student Julie, and how if people, if you know Made to Stick, the book.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so just in the first line, how much credibility? Okay, so it's students, you got details there, it's personal, and it's a story. So everything is there is made to stick. So you have, it's the senior dog is surprising, is everything on the top, like messaging. And I was like, oh, that's like, it's from the book, you know? And the fact you name her.
Sorry, go ahead.
Really named Julie?
Yeah, her name is Julie Busby. I have the screenshot. And
right,
also,
right. You have all the credibility. Yeah, so that's so wonderful. It's such
at the end, I also sent people to her website because she really does have an amazing product. And I think that's also one of the things that I find are super important. I'm super, super passionate about my students and clients. I take a personal interest in these people, in understanding who they are and where they're coming from. And I think that's also one of the things that really comes out, because at the end of the day, this email kind of follows a very simple framework, which I also taught you during the course, called PAS, right? Pain, Agitation, Solution. And in pain, agitation, solution, the whole idea is that you talk about the pain that people are feeling. You agitate it by explaining why they should care, how it matters to them, how it changes their lives, and then you offer a solution. So rather than saying, hey, we have 50% off on something, now come and get it, you reframe the whole thing by first talking about their pain, showing people that you know what they're going through. This is a story, but it does exactly that. It talks about the pain that Julie went through and about how other people feel the same way, not knowing if they should send emails, if they should sell, if they shouldn't. Maybe people, so in here in the email, you can say, it says, maybe you have been worried about selling or running campaigns right now. We're all facing similar concerns. So the whole idea of talking
we just talked about your feeling about that. That was like, it's the same. Like today, should I be selling? We were talking about that.
Yes.
In the previous
right, when I opened the conversation, I was like, I don't feel comfortable selling right now.
Yeah, just read your email. You should be comfortable selling. You know, everybody, we should be comfortable selling. People need our products. Your product, you need to adjust your marketing, and you need to adjust the product to actually solve real pains. But yeah, people need to sell. Actually, it's really important we sell.
Exactly. And as I say, you know, what you do need to do is adapt and be willing to change courses fast. And all this email follows a very simple framework, PAS, P-A-A, pain, agitation, solution. So you talk about the pain, you agitate it and show people how it affects their lives, and then you offer a solution. But I use templates for everything that I do and not just emails. So for example, as I was saying before, this is a presentation that I use. Hopefully now you can see the right screen. I don't know. Can you see my presentation?
Nope. Oh, now I see. Yeah.
Now you can see a presentation. Awesome. So as I was saying, I use templates and frameworks for everything. And this is one of these webinars that I was running, and I was trying to teach people how to use emotion in your headlines. So say you are now putting together a landing page and you need to really create something that is for your specific audience that drives value. So we have two really cool headlines that templates that you can use, and all you have to do is switch it out. So you can see over here, it says, have a or become a desirable thing you can be proud of. And the examples here are, finally have the body you can be proud of for a gym or an online parenting program. Become the parent you've always wanted to be, one you can be proud of. Or for an email software, write and send emails that make you money and proud. So the idea here is that, you know, this is just a cool headline formula. Here's another formula that's more about social image. So these are two different emotional triggers that I talk about how you feel about yourself and how other people feel about you. And over here is a different formula, the only solution made exclusively to most desirable social image outcome. So for presentation software, the only presentation software that will make you look like a pro designer. Now, look, this is all focusing on people's emotions and how they want, in social image is an emotional trigger that essentially means that you care about what other people think of you. And in many businesses, the users, the prospects care about this stuff. They want to become better, and they want other people to notice how good they are. So for a VA service, the only virtual assistant service that will make people ask, how does she get all that done? So these are two formulas that we use for headlines. And over here we have call to action button formulas. So
Everything.
we have formulas for everything.
I if I ran by you by the street, you probably template me, but
I just think, listen, I think that we have to acknowledge the fact that people aren't just writing machines, and that we need to follow certain different, I think frameworks are just a great way to do it. I don't know. It's just, this is my go-to. This is how I approach.
I think like the thing about it, it relieves a lot of the pressure of being creative, which is an understandable pressure. You don't need to be creative all of the time. And if you remember, we're not running for Literature Nobel Prize now. We're trying to figure out, we're trying to figure out the market. Now, some of the copy is obviously not templated, and you may stand out by changing the templates, because you may look at these templates and say, well, that looks quite generic, but then you put your own content in it and you just give it a slight twist, and it looks like totally original. You don't, the best artist copy.
Right. So, and I do want to emphasize this, because when we have like one of our products that we have at Get Uplift is templates, email templates that people can buy. And you and I had this conversation. And I've had people ask me, but if you're giving everyone the same email templates, everyone's going to be writing the same stuff. But part of this whole thing is that you're not supposed to just copy and paste it. I'm sure there will be people that will do that, and it will probably end up being it'll be okay. It will survive, but it won't do as well as it could do with what it's meant to do. And for me, templates aren't a way to get things done fast. It's a way to actually trigger my creativity. It's a way for me to look at it and say, okay, so wait, what is the most desirable outcome? Wait, what are the valuable things that I'm offering? Okay, cool. Then maybe think about, if it's an email, what is a story that happened to me right now? Like what is something that I can share that people can relate to? And it just gets the juices flowing. It gets people, gets things to kind of start moving, and things get into place. And then suddenly you have an email. So it really is just about triggering that, I guess, kind of just innovation, but it's more just about looking at something and saying, okay, how can I fill in the missing pieces? And as you said, use your own voice and your tone, and things look completely different.
Wow. We've been not looking at the time at all.
Oh, shoot. Right.
It just got you going, and we are,
sorry.
Yeah, that was so much fun. But great things have to end somewhere. I just want to take the opportunity and tell people about the new podcast you're running. Because look, sometimes when you work with people, and one of the key things is, will I use their stuff? If I hire somebody from, I'm listening to your podcast. It's great. And you get your friend Ross is also great. And so you want to tell us a little about it just before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Like everything else, which is funny. Like you talked about me templating.
Point, but
right. You talked about me templating everything. So with Ross Simmons, my partner in this, who is a brilliant marketer. We spoke about podcasts and what we listen to, and we realized that all podcasts are like 40, 45 minutes, and they go on, and it's rare to find usually 5 minutes of real actionable content. So we created the Action Driven podcast, and the idea is that you get 15 minutes of episodes where we just talk about very, very specific actionable things that you can do with your marketing and growth. Yeah, and one of them is about the British monarchy.
Yeah. I got that email. That's amazing. You get this email, just give you the headline so I don't to get people there. It's like, yesterday I saw this documentary about the royal family. The royal family, don't judge.
I didn't want people to judge me for watching a royal documentary, but I was
It's all about
so into it.
It's a fun email, and I'm sure it'll be. I can't wait to hear the podcast. Where can people find you online?
Getuplift.co, resources, blogs, podcast, everything.
Yeah. It's a great resource place and great person. Really, Talia, thank you for talking to me, and it was so interesting. So hope we do it again sometime.
Yes, definitely.
Bye.
Bye.